All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's session on subscriber data management for the 5G core and Alepo's solution. We're excited to have attendees from all over the world, and I hope you find this webinar and information useful for your 5G journey. So before we start, a quick note on the format. We will have pauses throughout the presentation for audience polls and encourage you to participate. It will be great to get a real-time pulse on the market and understand what our attendees are planning with their 5G rollouts. At the end of the session, we will have a short demo of our solution followed by a Q&A session. So feel free to send your questions in at any time via the Q&A function, and we will address as many as time permits at the end. Also, a recording of this webinar will be available to attendees after the session, and we will send out the link with the password to everyone who has joined and everyone who's registered for you to access. So first, I'd like to introduce our team. I'm Derek Gross, the president of Alepo. I know some of our existing customers are here watching. And for those of you that don't know me, you should know I always really enjoy helping our customers in any way that I can. We really see you all as our long-term partners, and your success is our success. So even if you don't work with us on 5G, I'm more than happy to be in discussions about your plans and share our experience and give any type of advice. I always enjoy kind of hearing what's going on in the real world and sharing our experience with that. So feel free to reach out via email or LinkedIn at any time. Also with me is Sandeep Kalakar, our VP of Pre-Sales and Solution Architecture. Sandeep is one of our resident 5G experts. He specializes in working with our clients to understand their challenges and goals and to find a best fit solution. He is also Alepo's frontline for what's happening in the real world.
Well, thank you, Derek. A very warm welcome to you all. I'm Sandeep and I head the solutions architecture team for Alepo Technologies. So today I'm really looking forward to showcasing some of our newest innovations in 5G. Thank you for joining in.
And we also have Rajesh Mapankar, our VP of Product Management. Rajesh is responsible for our product development and innovation at Alepo and leads the company's 5G products. He has deep knowledge on our technology and the overall telecom industry.
Hey, thanks, Derek. Hey, everyone. I'm Rajesh Mapankar, VP Product Management. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to attend our webinar.
Great, thanks, guys. Now let's get to it. Okay, so during today's session, we will be giving a quick overview of the subscriber data management market, which is an important niche within the 5G core. I also want you all to know Alepo also has a PCF and PCRF solution, but we're focusing solely on SDM today because it is really the heart of the 5G core. We will give an overview on the SDM solution, its role, important use cases. We will speak a little bit about Alepo's solution and some aspects that we think makes it unique and one of the strongest solutions in the market. And we will finally give a demo followed by a Q&A. So we'd like to start with one of Sandeep's favorite quotes.
Well, I think this quote sets the stage for our discussion nicely because operators are spending billions of dollars on 5G network, and it's important to take a step back and realize the importance of why we are building the 5G and the importance of selecting technology that will provide the ROI. Now, 5G is not only about faster, bigger, better networks, it's about enabling a diverse new set of services and use cases affecting nearly every aspect of our life. And much of the beginning of our discussion, we will be talking about the different use cases and that our customers are deploying.
Yeah, ROI is really so important and many times hard for our customers to understand considering how much 5G is going to cost. They just know they have to build it and aren't quite sure how to actually monetize it. So it's definitely something we think a lot about here and want to share with everybody. So first, one slide on the 5G core market and a short discussion. So the 5G core market is poised to grow so significantly over the next few years as operators transition from their legacy EPC cores to a cloud-native service-based 5G standalone architecture. Rajesh, can you give some of your thoughts on this market?
Nearly all operators we are talking to considering 5G rollout are implementing some form of Kubernetes infrastructure like OpenShift or WindRiver or cloud services like Azure or AWS. The shift to running on container has been slower than some analysts predicted, But it started to become real, and 5G Core is ready to take advantage of this new modern infrastructure to roll out some of the services like URLCC, mission type communication offerings to market. The market was very stagnant from 2018 to 2020, but now we are seeing a lot of activity pick up in this areas.
Yeah, definitely. And Sandeep, what would you say is the biggest driver in carriers adopting a 5G core versus deploying an NSA model with their legacy EPC?
Well, since Kubernetes platforms have matured, the ability of operators to deploy this new infrastructure really makes standalone 5G architecture a reality and a necessity to protect for the future. Now, with 5G standalone core, the containers are able to scale and perform at the levels that will be needed to support millions upon millions of connected devices that are projected once more and more 5G devices becomes a reality.
Yeah, exactly. And that really segues nicely into our next topic of ROI opportunities for the 5G core and what we're seeing in the market. So some of the top segments and ROI opportunities which require a modern 5G core are our network slicing, fixed wireless access, advanced partnerships enabled by network exposure and charging functions, as well as private enterprise 5G networks. So in the coming slides, we will talk about each use case and some real world examples that we're seeing with our customers, as well as our ranking in what we think provides the most immediate ROI. But before that, I want to have our first audience poll. So I want to hear from our audience, which service do you think provides the most ROI for 5G? So give me a second here and I will launch the poll. And if you can just take a few seconds and help us understand what service do you think will provide the highest ROI for 5G? Is it network slicing, new service partnerships, fixed wireless access, or enterprise private networks?
That's a tough choice, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give our audience a couple more seconds. We're getting a pretty even response, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thanks everyone who participated. We had pretty even. We had 26% for network slicing, 20% for partnerships, 26% for fixed wireless access, and 29% for private networks. Sandeep, what do you think?
Well, slicing, I'm not surprised because network slicing has always been associated with the term of with the term 5G. And enterprise networks, yes, I'm happy that this is a topic because this is what I've been seeing in the market myself with all the trials that we are participating in. Yeah, enterprise model looks like it's leading the way in 5G environment.
Yeah, that's what I was also watching on.
Great. And now for our rank here at Aleppo, Sandeep, Rajesh, and I have been talking to a lot of our customers and operators around the world, and we see that most of the mobile operators are looking for immediate ROI, thus are launching RAN first, followed by enterprise and private networks, as well as fixed wireless access. And as a next priority, partnerships and slicing are more of a future ROI as networks and technologies are still evolving. So Sandeep, can you tell us more about the enterprise and edge core business that's happening and being deployed?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the reasons that this is one of the top use cases for ROI is because private networks are relatively quick to set up and can be high value as managed services offerings by the operators to their enterprise customers. Now, the complexity of the network is also less, making it ideal for the first generation of 5G cores. Now, in fact, a lot of 5G core trials are performed on this kind of a deployment model. We have seen it being used for smart manufacturing, for drone surveillance of utility properties, for edge core, for satellite backhaul to remote mines and offshore oil rigs, and campus-based environments like schools and government offices. Now, it is expected that the volumes of such private networks is going to be immense, and commercially, this space can get quite competitive. Now, a point to note that this trend is the trend of the edge core is not specific to a certain region. In fact, we ourselves are involved in projects in South Korea, the US, the Europe, the Middle East region, and it seems to be a global trend.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Thanks, Sandeep. I agree. Some of the most exciting use cases we're seeing are with private networks, because this is really the types of devices and use cases that are mature right now. And really the use cases are so much more diverse than just your standard mobile handset and retail subscriber, which really mostly care about speed. So Rajesh, why would you need a 5G core versus an EPC core?
Yeah, that's a good question, as you could launch this 5G, NSA, 4G private networks with an EPC core. The 5G core for private network is important as it makes your network future-proof. You can see the REST APIs, future edition of components like NEF, means EPC will be outdated very soon.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. And what would you say are the key requirements in these private network solutions?
Well, based on our experience, if you have to summarize, the key requirements from operators are, first of all, need for a quick turnaround time, ability to support different kind of infrastructure, openness of integrations, and definitely low footprint on network function, especially from edge port side.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add a few things. Nearly all of our customers have asked for a convergent LTE and 5G solution as they migrate their private LTE networks to 5G. So that's been one of the key requirements in these types of solutions to really make it work and forge that migration path. And not to forget, there's always commercials and the importance of the TCO of the solution and the ROI. So here at Alepo, we take that very seriously, and we offer a really competitive model to make our solution work in these scenarios. So the second biggest segment we're seeing right now is fixed wireless access. So especially with CBRS in the US here and expensive fiber buildouts in many countries, 5G is really becoming a great opportunity to bring super fast broadband to the market with the possibility for very high ARPU and selling add-on services. Sandeep, what are our customers doing here?
Well, fixed wireless access is specifically targeted towards the broadband business. I mean, it's just one of the many use cases of 5G, and it has got the potential to be the last mile connectivity with 5G, replacing the legacy fiber infrastructure. Now, in a way, it's mobile operators' chance to enter to the broadband business. Now, the most activity we see is in the US. However, we are seeing interest in Southeast Asia and other countries as well, where the geography makes it difficult to deploy the legacy fiber infrastructure, and hence they are going for the wireless broadband.
Yeah, and this is similar to private networks where ISPs and carriers can launch networks relatively quickly and with less complications since mobility is not a consideration. Rajesh, is there anything about fixed wireless access that sticks out to you?
From ROS perspective, it's really one of the fastest way for operator to turn on services and start making money. We have one customer in South America who launched 5G fixed wireless access in areas without fiber, and they saw over 20,000 users sign up within a few months.
Yeah, exactly. And this customer is also selling IPTV on top of the 5G access. So the subscriber becomes much more profitable. And consumers now are really clamoring for faster speeds, and they're willing to sign up for these services really fast with no data limits, and they will pay a premium. So with people working from home and studying from home, and our whole way of life has changed, this is really the quickest way to get ROI. So I'm most excited about partnerships in the long term, but the ecosystem for 5G and devices and all the software behind it is really in its infancy. So we see carriers and ISPs really morphing their business models to see themselves as platforms in the future where they can connect services and users similar to a marketplace. So think of the possibilities with the different types of APIs, network exposure functions, all the different technological innovation happening out in the world. With exposed services to the 5G core, new models could be launched where, for example, a 5G network operator could partner with an autonomous vehicle company, assign a specific slice, assign policies, and do charging based on miles driven or some type of new REST API parameter that's not possible in LTE.
Well, I would say, Derek, by now it's quite obvious that the huge capital expenditure will be required for deployment of complex 5G networks, and the payback is unlikely to be covered by the consumer mobile business only. The breadth of potential of 5G solutions will create a market too big for any single CSP to handle alone. Now, this is when partnership becomes crucial in 5G, and CSPs will need to partner and collaborate with other players in the ecosystem to develop a viable 5G use cases. Now, partners can be IoT partners, content partners, enterprise partners, edge orchestrators, cloud partners, and there's so many of them.
Yeah, exactly. Operators can really position themselves more than a utility and need to think of themselves as a platform. Rajesh, what do you think is the key in unlocking the value of partnerships?
Yeah, well, openness of platform is really key to having ecosystem partners to develop services on the top of 5G core network. One of the reasons marketplace do well is ease of integration and ability to access customers. So you think of places like Google Play, Salesforce, YouTube having a complete 5G core with SDM, CHF and NEF and developer program to add to it will really make these partnerships a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rajesh. And finally, network slicing, our fourth topic, which I don't personally think will give very much ROI right away to operators, but definitely something that is very promising for the future. Sandeep, what do you think about network slicing?
Well, Derek, I still remember a couple of years ago when 5G and slicing were synonyms, right? And the slicing concept brought in a lot of promises, 5G promises the operators hope to cash in on the technology, as well as savings from efficiently using the resources from the slicing concept. But as a concept, the implementation of slicing is in the form of use cases like the URLCC, the machine-to-machine type communication, and the simple mobile broadband. Well, we haven't seen much traction on slicing, though. One reason could be these use cases are already met by the edge code deployment models.
Yeah, and this now slicing to really make sense, and the scale RAN needs to be deployed everywhere, right? Which is not the case in any market.
Yeah, true. Most of the immediate 5G use cases are specific to an enterprise location and are not needed on the macro scale in the whole country yet. So now we will go deeper into subscriber data management and its function in the 5G core. So Sandeep, over to you.
Well, thank you, Derek. Now, the SDM, as we would like to call it, is the subscriber data management, is a 3GPP compliant network function, which is the heart of the subscription authentication. It stores and manages subscription and policy data for both 4G and 5G subscribers, making it a key component in the 4G and 5G interworking. It also ensures simplified management of subscriber and service. Now, various solutions in the market will have slightly different components than what you see on the screen, like some may include an HSS and some do not, for instance. The components here are the ones which Aleppo includes, and we'll get into more details in the next two slides. Rajesh, can you give us some more details on these components?
Yeah, sure, Sandeep. So these are our SDM components to start with authentication server, also called AUSF. It's responsible for authenticating device within the network. UDM or Unified Data Management. It's responsible for generating those authentication credentials during authentication process. It performs authorization, ways access authorization, is roaming authorization. Support privacy protection, which is key for concealing user numbers. Handle mobility, interact mobility. Then we have this unified data repository. It's basically centralized data repository that stores subscriber data, including their identities, service, subscription. By the way, our unified data repository also manages all the subscriber profile needs, 4G or 5G, and it acts as a service to other network functions which requires subscriber information.
Great, thanks, Rajesh.
Yeah, next is home subscriber server. I'm sure everybody must be aware. I mean, it's a key component on the 4G network, handles authentications, access authorization, again, handles mobility, inter-RAT mobility. And the last one is very key component is subscriber data management portal. It's a web portal which can be used for configuring our SDM solution, managing SIM cards, service configurations, managing subscribers, viewing or managing the subscriber online sessions. This all can be possible with the subscriber data management portal. And I would like to also add, we originally did not plan to include HSS in our solution. However, we were getting a lot of customers requests, and it makes migration from 4G to 5G much easier, since we can support both diameter and 5G interworking. A common subscriber profile for both services sits in the common and same database.
Yeah, that's really been key to our customers adopting this solution, is the ability to support both the LTE and the 5G subscribers.
Yes, yes. And building a new HSS from scratch as a microservice is one of the keys to deploying this successfully in real market scenario, and makes a path for 5G SA or standalone feasible, as you can run LTE and 5G at the same time in one solution. That's what we offer.
Yeah, perfect. Now for our second audience poll. I'd like to understand from our audience what's important when you are evaluating an SDM solution. So give me a second here and I will launch this poll. So what will be the key features or aspects you will look at when evaluating an SDM solution? Is it stress test and load performance, enabling a hassle-free migration to 5G, unlocking a host of revenue streams, or managing SIM services and subscriber data management more efficiently? And obviously all of these are very important, so it's hard to pick one. And here at Alepo, we want to be the best at everything, but I'm just curious if our attendees prioritize one over the other. And I'll give you guys a few more seconds to lock in your answers. All right, I'm going to end it. So not quite as even as our first poll. We had 11% for stress test, 35% for enabling a hassle-free migration, 35% for unlocking a host of revenue streams, and 19% for managing SIM services efficiently. Sandeep, any thoughts?
Well, I would say the hassle-free migration is the right pick, because that's what operator would want when they are moving into 5G. So yeah, I completely agree with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Now to give a quick overview on Alepo's solution and some of its highlights. Sandeep, can you talk to us about its cloud native features and the footprint?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, the solution is truly cloud native. It's built on the service-based architecture. Now it supports both public, private, and hybrid kind of a deployment. It also supports orchestration and centralized logging via the ELK tools. It implements CI/CD to support automated release management. And we have deployed this on AWS, on native Kubernetes, on Rancher, on OpenShift, Wind River, and many more platforms. Now, it has a very low footprint that we think is the smallest in the industry. We have also selected technology and languages, which makes it efficient. So the low footprint makes it especially well suited for edge core or a compact core kind of a deployment, as well as for the scalability aspect when we move on to a central core deployment. Now, during the demo, I'll show some of these with our monitoring tools as well.
Great. And Rajesh, how about the standards and the database?
Yeah, it is 3GPP compliant, which is not really a differentiator, as most solutions will claim this. However, our company's philosophy is always to be agnostic. We build our solutions to be open without any complicated licensing or proprietary interface, which cannot be easily understood by our customers. This ensures we can build a best of breed core with the various vendors to prevent vendor lock-in. And finally, on databases, Alipo's SDM is built on highly scalable NoSQL data repository, which is Couchbase DB. And we all know Couchbase is highly scalable and offers a lot of advantages over other databases like clustering architecture, which is perfect for high performance at a scale.
Yeah, and I think what's really important about the 5G standards is the ease of integration with different types of microservices really makes a best of breeds and multi-vendor cloud native core possible. So you could easily take an Alepo SDM and integrate it with another vendor's AMF or multiple vendors.
Yes.
And it really helps on the commercial side because you can help negotiate and not have risk on a certain vendor. And then you can take a best of breeds and choose which solution you want for each microservice. So that's what we're seeing our customers do is pick and choose and use different AMFs and other nodes that we integrate with. So Sandeep, is there anything our customers say that they like best about our solution?
Well, a lot of our customers talk to me about how vendors claim that their solutions are truly cloud native, but in reality, it's just one big container of an existing monolithic system. So for us, the way we have used microservices to make it truly cloud native, and the fact that we have architected the new solutions to achieve the lowest footprint is always the feedback that I get from our customers.
Yeah. And Rajesh, what do you think is the strongest part of the SDM?
Definitely low footprint. When I was talking to our customers who are more focused on the enterprise core market. But I would also say our Converge SDM offering, that's you can run LTE and 5G at the same time in one solution. So yeah, I mean, I would watch for both of them.
Great, yeah. Now I'd like everyone to get a glimpse of the SDM with a demo so you can get a feel of our solution. So Sandeep, over to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me just set our systems here. Give me a second. Okay, give me a minute. I'm logging in.
So keep on sending those questions. We've got some questions coming in from the audience and we'll get to those after the demo.
Okay, is my screen shared? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so this is the interface of the SDM portal. And as you can see, the dashboard gives you a glimpse of the information about what's happening in the system. So you have the PLMN groups, the DNN templates, the slice templates, and the subscriptions. And on the right-hand side, you can see the total number of SIM cards that are there in the system and how many of them are allocated. Now, if I go on the left-hand side here, you'll see that there are service configurations, wherein you configure the business configuration that is needed to be done on an SDM portal. So as you can see, we have the DNN templates here to be configured, and then the DNN groups to which the templates gets associated. Then we have the slice templates. Then the slice templates gets associated with the PLMN templates, and then the PLMN group. So you just have to follow the order from top to bottom, and all your business configurations will be done. Well, the key focus when we were designing the UI was always on the simplicity of the interface. At the same time, it was always to keep a fact in mind that it should be easy to navigate. Now, when I go into the SIM batch management here, You can see that this is the batch of SIM cards that were imported. A close look at the quick logo here will tell you all the SIM cards that have been imported in this particular batch from the file that you get from the SIM vendor. Now moving on to subscription management here. So subscription management gives you information of a subscriber. Let me just pick one MC here. Yeah, and I'm going to show you more details about here. So all the information of this particular MC, the subscription details of this MC can be seen on the screen under the subscriber management. And if you see, it has been really pleasing to the eye. All the information is here about the authentication methods. It also gives you information about the PLMN groups. At the same time, if an agent wants to dig in deep, you can also see what all is the home PLMN and other information. Plus what slices he belongs to by click of a button, different information about the access and mobility, like the access network, which access network this particular SIM is belonging to, the operator determined barring, the AMBR, and restrictions and indicators. So basically all the information that you would want to see is in the same window.
Yes, whether it's a 4G subscriber, 5G subscriber, all informations they can dig in here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what was the key design implementation that we did without compromising on any of the functionality or the feature requirement from a standard SDM solution. Now, please note that because we support both the HSS and the UDM, I mean, which means 4G and 5G, it is quite imperative for us to have all the information that would be needed for a particular subscription should be present from the SDM portal part. Now, if you ask me, I would take like an hour to take you through the entire portal, but I want to do something more interesting. I want to take you behind the curtains and show the actual network functions working in live. So I'm opening Kiali here. Now, as I've mentioned before, we have built our solutions on as cloud native network functions. So the network functions are basically pods orchestrated by the Kubernetes. Now, if you see on the screen, you can see that there are these pods of AUSF, the UDM, the UDR, and I think Couchbase instance is also there somewhere. Now, I'm showcasing this on Kiali, which you might be knowing is a tool for visual representation of an issue service mesh. So what I've done here is I've simulated the traffic. I have this AMF sending continuous pumping, continuous traffic to our systems, the authentication messages to our systems. So it gets handled by the AUSF, and then the AUSF traverses it back to the UDM taking it to the UDR, and then it goes to the PVC, which is the Couchbase database. And as Rajesh was mentioning earlier, the Couchbase database is one of the best of the NoSQL databases available that are well suited for such kind of a deployment. Now, that being said, if I also take you to Grafana, which is again another tool for looking at the CPU, and we have been talking about the nature of the network functions that we have designed to have a very less footprint and high utilization. And if you see the utilization, in spite of me pumping in traffic continuously, you'll see that the utilization of the CPU and the RAM are pretty much in check. That's because it's a completely microservices-based architecture, and that's how we are able to capitalize on the nature of microservices as such. Okay, I can also show you another tool, Hager tool, which will actually give you what's the time required for the messages to be responded for the traffic that we are seeing here. So again, Hager tool is a standard tool to check the response times for each of the use cases or the request messages that are sent. Now, so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in a very short time that we have, but I would definitely love to take you all on a deep dive session of the SDM portal, as a subsequent sessions. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. We get a lot of great feedback about the ease of use of our system. And I hope everyone here could see the portal, and I hope you want to see more. So just reach out to us and we can show you everything. All right, so I will take back over. All right. And now for our last audience poll. I'd like to understand the stage that your company is in with their 5G deployment. So give me a second, I will launch the poll. So the question is, what 5G deployment stage is your company in? The 5G spectrum or license is not granted yet in your country. The 5G RAN is in deployment, but not the 5G core. The 5G RAN is already deployed and the 5G core is in deployment, or the 5G RAN and 5G core is already deployed. Or not applicable. You are some sort of vendor, you're a media, you're a student, you're just here kind of scoping out what we're doing. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to answer. All right. So not too surprising. I saw who was registered on our list. So we had 24% with no 5G spectrum or license granted. We had 7% where the 5G RAN is in deployment, but not the 5G core. And that's really who we want to talk to most, is these first two groups. That's kind of what you need us for. We had 3% and 3% for the next two options. So 6% total where there's already some sort of 5G core in deployment or the 5G core is already deployed. And we had 60% of not applicable. So people that are not directly operators, they're our partners, suppliers, students, and a few of our employees as well. All right, now we do have some time for some Q&A. So we do have some questions from the audience. Let me pull up what we've got. And we have some similar questions as well. So our first question is if you could define low footprint and what's the secret to your low footprint?
Well, yeah. Well, Derek, I think the focus on the software architecture, the framework, and the programming language is the key to that. During our initial days of our deployment cycles, we invested and experimented quite a bit on different frameworks. And once we were settled on that, we moved on to choose the best programming languages for a microservices-based kind of a solutions. So I would say it's a combination of the architecture, framework, and the programming language that helped us achieve a very low footprint.
Yep. And Rajesh, I'll give you the next one. How does the 4G, 5G interworking work?
Well, as a part of our offering, we have a combo node, that is HSS for 4G and UDM for 5G. That refers to common UDR or database. This allows us to have a common subscriber profile for both 4G and 5G, and have those sessions managed in the centralized database. And that makes it easy for us to support 4G, 5G interworking. And besides on the network standard interface end, we support both the diameter as well as REST-based interface. So when our HS is talking to, let's say, MME, it interfaces over diameter. But when UDM talks to AMF, it uses REST-based interface. That makes it really possible to support 4G, 5G NSA, as well as 5G standalone services within a single platform.
Right. And Rajesh, I'll give you the next one as well. Which 3GPP release compliance does our solution comply?
We are release 16 compliant. Release 16 compliance.
Release 16, got it.
Yeah.
And next question, do you have alarms for monitoring?
Yes, we do have. I mean, as cloud native, we have a way to handle the performance KPI, alarms, fault management, all built in our solution. And that being said, we are CAS as well as PaaS agnostic. So we can integrate with any CAS platform, PaaS platform to support this functionality.
And we've got a commercial question. This, Sandeep, might be good for you. on the Couchbase licensing cost. How do you compare it with other offerings, and will it make the solution costly?
Well, that's a very good question by Anand, I think. Yeah. So the Couchbase cost, the Couchbase and the other NoSQL databases, I would say comparatively, the costs are more or less the same. But the fact that Couchbase is a NoSQL database and it works very well with the microservices architecture, and the fact that you can have buckets and it's very good for with the XDCSR functionality, it's quite good for handling the cross database replication. So it more or less, I would say, is sort of a solution that meets the requirements from a customer, be it the low footprint, be it the microservices based architecture for any kind of a 5G deployment. So that really overshadows the cost that comes up with Couchbase.
We have a question, have we tried this with something other than Istio?
Yes, I mean, as I mentioned, we are CASPAS agnostic, so we can deploy with Istio, without Istio, different service mesh on Kubernetes, Wind River, and yeah, so it's possible.
Great. And we have a question about some backwards compatibility. So does the SDM only work in 4G, 5G, or can it be used with legacy 3G? Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, we do support 4G, 5G. On legacy, I mean, based on our experience with the operator, they are phasing out 3G services. So we really do not see any operator spending on 3G services. As of SDM, we support 4G and 5G and not yet 3G.
Right, so Sandeep, how would an operator set up their network if they have all of these access technologies with 3G, 4G, 5G?
Well, as such, 4G and 5G are a solution. If you look at it, they are more compatible with each other. There will be inter-RAT handling and inter-data handling, and 3G will always stand alone as a separate entity. So it will always have a separate core, because even if you look at the protocols, they are quite legacy. You can talk about the INI protocol or the CAP3 protocol, which comes as a part of 3G. They have been, quite stand out as compared to the 4G, where we have diameter-based interfaces for almost all of the interactions. So for an operator, we will have a 3G network, which will be eventually phased out, and then we'll have the 4G and the 5G network, which will work together in harmony.
Great. We've got another commercial question about the licensing model. Do you sell on perpetual licenses one time or as OpEx, where you pay every year in a mode as pay as you grow? Sandeep, do you want to talk about our licensing model?
Well, I would say we are quite flexible in terms of our licensing, and that's I would want to highlight that it's a key feature of our commercial model, because we are equally open to have a perpetual license-based model as a CapEx model, or also work with our operator and help them out with an OpEx model as well. So in terms of flexibility, yeah, we can go with both of them, CapEx and OpEx.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add, since we're so agnostic, we've seen different types of customer requirements, either on-premise with their private cloud, and that's typically where they want to see more of a perpetual license versus a public cloud where they're more used to paying in OpEx, pay-as-you-grow type of model. So we offer both. We're very, very flexible, and we want to meet the needs of our customers. And it's really a solution that fits all sorts of use cases. So you saw with private networks, sometimes that footprint's very small. There's only 1,000 devices in the private network. They might want it on AWS in a yearly recurring model. So definitely we can fit both types of deployments.
True.
All right, we might have time for a couple questions. How about some underlying technology of the solution? Rajesh, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, as Sandeep mentioned earlier, to answer to one of the query, we put a lot of efforts in identifying the frameworks, which programming language to use. And we are cloud native and containerize and can support running at scale. And we chosen programming language that helps us to run with low footprint. Database, as we mentioned, is Couchbase, very robust and can give us a lot of performance, a NoSQL database. So yeah, those are key findings we had worked out to build our solution.
Yeah. Okay, there's another good question that just came in about interoperability between the Aleppo SDM and other 5G suppliers. So who have we integrated with, and can you talk a little bit about that, Sandeep?
Oh yes, definitely. Like one of the key benefits of the SDM solution is that, as Rajesh mentioned, we are 3GPP compliant to the last word, which means that any other vendor who supports 3GPP compliant will be easy to integrate with. So we have been working with, in all these deployments that we have done, as I've mentioned earlier, we have been working with multiple partners from the AMF and the SMF. Like one, Samsung is the one that we often work with. But because of the nature of the 5G solution, the interoperability is not a challenge for us since we are compliant with the specification, as I mentioned.
Yeah, and a few others that we've interoped with is Casa Systems and Cisco. Really, those interfaces make it really easy to work in those types of environments. So most of the main 5G vendors out there that we have done some interop with.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a time check here. We do have a few more minutes. We've got a question on ELK and licensing. Is that an enterprise version or a free version?
Well, we can work with both free version as well as enterprise version. We do not have any restriction on that.
Great. All right, and sorry if I don't get to your question. We do have a bunch more that came in. There's a question about MNP functionality as part of the SDM, and I believe that's number portability, if I got the question right. So can one of you guys talk about number portability?
Rajesh, can you take that?
Yes. Okay. We have way to interface with MNP, but we haven't yet integrated with such platform. But yeah, we provide an interface if it is required for our customer to integrate. We, as a part of SDM, we provide well-defined REST-based APIs, and these functions can be supported if any customer requires it.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a whole bunch of APIs that come with the solution, and you can integrate with your CRMs, your BSS, Cineverse for number portability, whoever you're using. The solution does have a whole host of our REST APIs that will make that possible. We have a question about our portfolio. What other 5G products are you guys coming up with?
Yeah, as Derek, you mentioned that PCF, PCRF is part of our Converge core, and we are also working on the NEF. Okay, I mean, that's something key for the enterprise market. And we will be working also on, we do have our charging system, and soon we'll be working on supporting CHF on top of this charging system. So yeah, NEF, CHF, loads of new functions we are soon coming up with.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, there's some more questions, but I think we're going to start wrapping up. So if we didn't get to your question, we do have all of them noted down, and we can reach out to you and answer your questions offline. So definitely thanks for all of those questions. There were really some good ones in there, and I'm happy we got a lot of participation. All right, so we want to end it here. So thank you everyone for your time today. 5G is really an exciting market opportunity, and we hope you were able to take away some ideas from this webinar, whether you're going to be working with us or not. So we're always available to talk and give advice on the market, as well as discuss our other solutions like the PCF and our BSS. So you can reach out to us at sales@alepo.com or myself personally at derek.gross@alepo.com. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we will be emailing out the recording of this session, along with some links to additional resources that our marketing team has put together. And that adjourns our session today. So thanks everyone again, and have a great day or night. Bye everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
everyone. Bye.